You know, ever since the news broke that Michael Keaton was going to be returning to the cowl as Batman in the Flash movie, everybody's been speculating if this could mean that we will finally see a Batman Beyond live-action movie. Well, stay tuned. We're going to talk all about that. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the show. So glad to see you all once again. And if you're new here, which I hope you are, thank you for stopping by. This is where we go back and we look at cartoons and shows and movies and all those kind of fun DC nerdy things that we grew up on and talk about them now as an adult. And today I'm doing a little bit of a different episode talking about the idea of a live action Batman. And if this sounds like something you might enjoy, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of the content, because I'm going through right now talking about each and every episode of Batman Beyond. But today, I wanted to take a little break from that to talk about something a little bit different, and that is this news that's been swirling around and speculation and rumors about if Michael Keaton's going to be doing a Batman Beyond live-action movie.
I'm Batman.
I'm a big Michael Keaton fan, and particularly a Michael Keaton Batman fan. I saw that movie at the drive-in theater when it first came out in 1989. Was one of the earliest movies that I remember seeing. And I was already a Batman fan at that point, just from coloring books and stickers. And my uncle had recorded a VHS tape of the old 66 Batman that he got on cable.
Of course, Robin. Even crime fighters must eat.
So I watched those a lot. So I was already a Batman fan, but seeing Michael Keaton as Batman on the big screen, and I'm talking huge screen at the drive-in theater, I was hooked. And the other thing too, as a 7-year-old at that point, that I had never heard of Michael Keaton or Jack Nicholson or any of them. So that's who they were. I know that there was some backlash about Michael Keaton as Batman at that time, but I didn't know him as anything else. He was larger than life to me. I didn't care how short he was.
Now you want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
But it's interesting that going all the way back to 1989, before the internet was really mainstream, people were still complaining about casting of Batman. We're seeing it now with Robert Pattinson being cast, and now people getting blown away by that trailer. And people didn't like Ben Affleck, and now they're demanding they want to see more Ben Affleck and all that kind of stuff. It goes on and on and on. You can't make everybody happy.
Maybe it's the Gotham City in me. We just have a bad history with freaks dressed like clowns.
So it was announced that Michael Keaton would be returning as Batman for the Flash movie. Now, just to talk about that for a moment, I do think it'd be my guess that that's going to be like a cameo. I don't think that that's going to be a big role. I think that, when you're dealing with the Flashpoint storyline, it opens up a lot of options to bring in all these different worlds and realms and alternate universes and things like that. And so I think we'll see that. And obviously they just announced recently that Ben Affleck would also be returning. So that supports that. We'll see a couple of different Batmen or other superheroes throughout the different universes.
Would have been here sooner, but wormholes are tricky business.
But I'm also hearing that they are kind of hoping that Michael Keaton will play sort of a mentor type role in the series, kind of a Nick Fury character that will kind of tie all these elements together. And I think that could be cool. And I think that would be a great fan service for people to see that. So I think that would be cool. And certainly in that, as we look at an older Batman and we think of him as a mentor, well, then that certainly dovetails right into Batman Beyond.
I'll shut down the suit again. And this time, it'll be for good. And
I think first and foremost, it's got to be a business. I know that these studios, Warner Brothers and that are, it's a studio business. It's a business. They got to make money. So does it financially make sense to make a Batman Beyond live action movie? And are there enough fans out there to support that? Maybe there is. And there's enough Michael Keaton fans, there's enough Batman fans, and if it's a well-made movie, just like anything else, if it's well-made and well-executed and well-cast, yeah, I think it would be fun. I think it would be really cool to see that world kind of reinvented.
I learned from the best.
But I also think with the Flashpoint universe, multiverse, that opens up so many opportunities. And we've already seen that DC's more going in that direction of these one-offs and less worried about trying to connect everything together. And I think that the multiverse allows them to do that really easily. Now we can have a Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves Batman. That can exist. And we can have a Joaquin Phoenix Joker. That can exist. And they never have to cross over each other because they're different worlds. Then we can bring back a Michael Keaton Batman in the Tim Burton universe, 89 world. That can exist. And we saw this in the CW Arrowverse, those big crossovers that they're doing. And certainly a lot of fun cameos that we've seen in those as well.
I can barely walk, let alone wear that again.
I think what'll happen is they'll bring Batman, Michael Keaton, into the Flashpoint movie with some other cameos. And I think if it goes well and he's interested and they're interested and they can get a good script together, I'm sure, knowing a little bit about how studios work, there is probably at least one script, probably multiple scripts floating around the studio systems, production companies for a Batman Beyond movie, and probably have been for 20 years. If they can develop it and the right people get attached and the right excitement happens, it'll happen, and if it financially makes sense, they'll do it. And certainly right now is the time when that could happen. When 20 years ago, when people were first demanding a live action Batman Beyond movie, there's no way. 99, 2000, they had just made Batman and Robin. I don't think they were excited about making too many other Batman movies.
It's winter forever here in Gotham.
Yeah, and Batman movies in general just weren't doing well until we saw the rise of X-Men and Spider-Man and then the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now everybody's making superhero movies. So I think that it could happen in this current state of superhero movies. And I think it would be cool if it's done well. Let's say they do this and they go forward with a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton. First of all, everybody's talking about that element, but they're going to need a spectacular Terry McGinnis and a true teenager. I don't want to see a 20 or 30-year-old pretending to be a teenager like they do so often. I would like to see a real, teenager, at least a young 20-something like Tom Holland in that kind of role. That's what I would want to see. But I think there's two directions they could go. They could either follow the current timeline and say, okay, Michael Keaton's Batman in 89 existed in the Tim Burton universe, and take that and fast forward the Tim Burton Gotham City 30 years to today and see what that looks like. Not this world, not real life, but the Tim Burton version of Gotham 30 years from then to be now. And let's see what that looks like. That would be cool.
Jimmy, put that away. We'll look like tourists.
Or probably the more logical thing they will do, have it be as if Batman existed today and fast forward and look at 30 years in the future from today and have an older Batman. Which again makes a kind of a weird leap for Michael Keaton because he was Batman in 89 and now he'd be Batman or an older Bruce Wayne, which is actually his age now. 30 years from now it'd be 2050, and so it gets a little confusing, but I think that that's probably the route they would go. I think that that would be cool too if they had like a really kind of futuristic, high-tech look at the world, sort of what they did with Blade Runner, where it went from their version of the future from back in the 80s to now, what do we see the future looking like now? I don't think that they would directly pull from the cartoon, as much as I know a lot of fans would like to see that. I think that that would be a harder leap to do because that was a very MTV kind of era, future, grungy, punk look to the future. And that's just not where our tastes are now. So
No, you got it all wrong.
it would be interesting to see a superhero movie set in the future is what it boils down to. We haven't really seen that. I love sci-fi movies that take place in the future. I think a trend lately has been this dystopian future kind of thing, which probably lends itself for Gotham City, but I would like to see just a superhero of the future. That would be cool. I hope that they don't do anything twisty and have him, come back in the past or things like that. I think that if they do a straight interpretation of Batman Beyond, take the things that worked about that story and implement it into a new story for today and today's audiences, I think it could work well. But unfortunately, the only things that I've been hearing about this, and the only wants that fans really have, is I want to see Michael Keaton play old Bruce Wayne. Well, I think we're going to see a form of that in Flashpoint, or the Flash movie, whatever they're calling it. And maybe there will be a Batman Beyond Terry McGinnis cameo in there as well. Who knows? But yeah, I'm kind of excited about it too. It's always fun speculating about what those movies look like. But let me know in the comment section below if you have a pitch for what a Batman Beyond live action movie should look like. We'll check back in later, and once that news breaks or doesn't break, I'm sure it's several years down the road that we would see that, but could be fun. Could be interesting. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, then just hit subscribe. And again, I'll be back with some more reviews and reactions to Batman Beyond the cartoon. Because if there isn't a live action movie, at least we still have the animated series. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'm Andy Knode. I'll see you soon.